to start off with a very obvious question, what is an AI lab and what purpose does it serve within Atos?
Right. That's a great place to start. Yeah, AI lab within our context is where our consultants work with you to draw up your AI plan. So very, very often we find that clients will come to us and not know exactly where to start or what's even possible with their AI journey. They definitely know a lot of the buzzwords and know they have a lot of valuable data. And they're not quite sure. It can feel overwhelming at times to have so much data and not know where you want to start with it. And so we do everything from idea generation to execution planning to proof of concepts to kind of help them start that journey.
Okay, so the company bring in their own data, or does Atos have a part in that as well?
Oh, no, usually they have their own data. And sometimes companies will get stuff from like third parties maybe, but often it's often kept within house. And we go ahead and they'll give us either access to that data. Now that is its own journey, of course.
I know.
But sometimes they're up on the cloud and it's pretty easy to get access to that data. Sometimes they have on-prem systems where we have to, VPN in or get access to it a different way, but we always work closely with them, and I haven't seen a problem where we weren't eventually able to get there and start helping them.
So you already quickly touched upon the process, and obviously getting access to their data is one part of that. Can you elaborate a bit more on what the entire process looks like when a company wants to find out what your AI labs can do for them?
Absolutely, yeah. So like I said, they kind of come to us at varying stages. And so we've kind of created 3 separate services to meet them at whatever stage they're at. And so one is a very simple beginning, like an ideation. We try to identify the most relevant opportunities for their business. So they often come to us either with pain points that they have, like something's taking too long, or they're not getting results they want to see in certain areas, and they're not quite sure where the next step, what direction they should head next. And we hold a very large stakeholder workshop to go ahead and brainstorm and select those high value, low complexity use cases that then ideally roll over into what we call our problem analysis, which is then where we go ahead and now that we've identified those use cases, we can analyze what solutions might work to solve that problem that we identified in that use case. This is often a multi-week validation of that data. So this is where we go ahead and we start getting access to that data itself. And this is kind of our bread and butter, I guess. This is where I see a lot of our value is, especially with AI in general, there's a lot of fuzziness around it. I think when you hire like a software developer consultancy to build a website, it's a much more concrete problem that you're trying to solve, where AI is very nebulous in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
And so because of that, I think people are also worried that we'll kind of spin our wheels for a while. It's very possible in data science that there's not signal in the noise sometimes. And so with this problem analysis and our proof of concepts that we do in it, we within weeks get access to that data and start trying to figure out, is there even signal there? Can we even start moving in this right direction before we are 6 months into a long contract, and then at the end of it, we don't have anything to show. And so upfront, we're trying to make sure that they're getting value for what they're hiring us for, and we're getting to work on really cool projects and go ahead and deliver that value to them. The last pillar is kind of like more of a side note, but still very, very critical to our infrastructure is corporate training. So what we saw is we have a lot of really great real world knowledge from getting to work with all these different companies in practical use cases. And we have a lot of incredibly talented data scientists with diverse backgrounds from PhDs to years in industry that we can then go ahead and train your stakeholders, your data scientists themselves, help level them up in AI so that when we eventually roll off this project, you can take it and run with it.
So that's more the digital transformation part to make sure everyone's on board.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want to hand over a solution that you don't even know how to use.
Is there a certain phase out of these 3 that you enjoy the most working in, or not necessarily?
Oh, I think they definitely all have their merits. Like I said, I think like that problem analysis, that really getting to dig in, finally getting into the data, seeing what's there is so very fruitful. It's also very challenging at times of trying to wrangle all that data, see what's in there, coming in completely out of context, like we're not familiar with their data. And starting to wrap your brain around it is a really fun problem to solve, I guess. In my brain really enjoys that kind of like complexity.
It's a challenge, definitely.
Right? and so that one's my personal favorite. And just the fact that it I don't know, I feel like it hits home with the client. It's also like a trust building exercise in that, like, hey, we're going to tell you if there's limits to your data. We're not going to sit here and like just make something up. If you don't have the data you need to go ahead and successfully execute the use case you want to, then we'll tell you that, and we'll continue working with you on how you can go ahead and collect that data, how you can set up meaningful data collection and stuff. And so like the end result might not even be a use like a model. It might be we need to do more work, but that's still valuable in its own right.
I surely wanted to address the elephant in the room. I'm just wondering how the entire process has changed due to COVID and what new challenges have arisen in not being able to physically visit such a lab, I reckon.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so valuable to have those types of conversations, and often they're a lot easier in person. So adapting them to be now 100% remote was definitely a challenge. But I think there's a lot of really great tools out there that made that an easy transition for us. So we used one called Miro, which is a whiteboarding tool, and essentially we would go ahead and we would lay out everything that we would do in the ideation and just walk through it with the client, and we have seen great success with that. I am actually surprised at how smoothly that transitioned over. Our data scientists have always worked remote, even before the pandemic. We're all over the world, but those types of more intense conversations are often more fruitful in person. And so trying to find the right tools to go ahead and still continue to have those conversations beyond COVID has been really critical to our business plan. And I think we have found some really great ways to do it.
Are there any future developments we can expect, or is that very hard to say since we're not quite sure how this pandemic will work out just yet?
I think what we'll end up doing is actually kind of a hybrid approach of what works best for the client. If after the pandemic they want to come in on site, we'll absolutely happily have them. And if it just works better to do it remote, then we'll do it that way. And so what it gave us was just more tools in our tool set to better adapt to our clients' needs, which is actually kind of a cool byproduct of COVID, I guess. It's interesting. I think one of the things that COVID introduced into tech is it's causing us to reevaluate normal ways that we would approach problems and normal ways that we would handle certain situations. And in that, we've gotten to question why we even do it that way in the first place. And in that questioning, you just get to more meaningful content. You're like, is this even useful? If it's not, throw it out. Let's not do it.
Well, okay, I think that at least I got a clear idea of what AI labs are and what they can do. And I hope that the people who are watching this know something about it as well now. So thank you for discussing this topic so elaborately. For those who are watching, if you have any burning questions regarding AI labs or what they might potentially be able to do for you, feel free to shoot either Jordan or myself a message. And thank you, and hopefully see you next time. And thank you again, Jordan, for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.